despite Israel and Iran's tension, Bitcoin surged above $107,000. So that shows market resilience. Both Walmart and Amazon are looking at stablecoin adoption. That is super bullish for crypto, something we should keep an eye on because it would flip a switch regarding stablecoins, especially after the Genius Act, which should be voted around tomorrow maybe, and that should bring in a new wave for crypto, especially for stablecoins in the US, most likely giving huge volatility for crypto markets. The Israel-Iran continues. We saw throughout the weekend a huge amount of videos and news about explosions both on the Israeli and the Iranian side. So war is never good, and hopefully it ends soon. So let's cover all of this in today's video. Let's jump right into it. So let us start with the numbers first. So let's take a look at our cryptocurrencies. We have Bitcoin at 106,880. We have Ethereum at 2,616. XRP back above the 220 at $2.25. BNB is 654. Solana at 156. And scrolling down a little bit, we see Hyperliquid becoming almost one of the top 10 tokens. So good on you if, like me, you were one of the people who got the Hype airdrop. So congratulations, that is doing very, very well. So looking at the Fear and Greed Index, we are neutral around 46 right now. But if we look here at Bitcoin, you can see that throughout the last hours of the day, yesterday and this morning, we had a huge spike going all the way from the 105 more or less up to 107 and now coasting back at the 106,900, 106,800. So important for us is that we broke above again the 200 moving average, which is important because it becomes a support. It was resistance before, now it becomes a support once again, and it is a support shown previously that works very, very well. Excited to see where you go from here. For Ethereum, we're also above the 200 moving average, and you can see already that I placed a trade just by looking at this line right here. We're going to talk about my trade in a little bit. For Solana, we are not above the moving average. This, actually, I think I already pulled it in the last video, but it just didn't save. We tried going back into this range that we were before. We were not able to. The 200 moving average held us, and then we went back towards the 140, and now we're going back towards the 160. Hopefully the 100 moving average will be able to hold us right here, and if we do get back into the range, most likely it means that we're going to be testing the top of the range, which is around the 180, which is a number everyone that holds Solana most likely wants to see, especially myself. I still think this year we're going to see Solana back at the 300, maybe by the end of the year, like around August, September. I do believe we're going to see $300 for Solana, but after it should start slowing down, as I believe the whole market should start slowing down by September. I think September will mark the top for this cycle, and then we're going to slow down a little bit. Now, looking at the volatility for Ethereum, we can see that it dropped. We went all the way to 79 in the IV for Ethereum. I should have sold, but again, this was yesterday, so there was no way for me to sell anything up here. Right now, we're still very high, almost as high as the other tops right here, which is good to see that we are in an ascending pattern. So higher highs and higher lows. This is amazing for us to see because it means that more IV should be coming right here, especially by testing right here and going back up towards the top of the Bollinger. This is huge news because more premium for us, more cash to collect from our options that we sell. Selling options, which brings us to the copy trading and my personal strategy. So the copy trading did 1.2% in a single trade yesterday, and it was fantastic. Now we are almost at the percentage that we achieved in March, and we still have half a month to go. So imagine we have more of these trades right here, 1.19%. This would be very good for us and very good for your portfolio as well. So stoked. The number of users are still growing. So welcome to the family. Welcome to the Topics family. I'm sure you are very happy with the returns that we're having right here. I definitely am. And this brings us to my trade of the day. So right now, ETH at 26.09, and I sold a 24.75, 23.75. So this is a put spread that I sold. If we stay above the 24.75, I should be profitable. And this is around 0.5% in a day. If you remember, I have a range that I try to stay inside, and we are for sure on the top side of the range, but because we have high IV right now, then when I set this range, which we were in the low 60s IV, now we're in the 70s IV, this for sure changes. And we can see that right here, because if you look, usually my range, let's pick a day last week, for example. So this, we were around 4-5%, and here I would be making 0.2, 0.23, something like that, 0.25 in this range of around 5%. Right now, we are still around the 5% here from current price. So again, 5.12% from the current price, but now I'm making double what it was when the IV was around the 60s, the high 50s. You can see how much more I almost doubled the ROI on these options just by selling on high IV, which of course, high IV, more risk, but you can also go way further out of the money because you can still get very juicy premiums. So as long as a candle closes above this line right here, I am profitable. So for me, it doesn't matter if you go down right here. I just wanted to close above the white line by expiration. So just a few hours before, if it is still above this green line, so it doesn't matter if it goes below, but what matters to me is that few hours before, so from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., it stays above this white line, I am going to be making full profit on these options, on the spread that I sold. So fortunately, I do believe that we're going to be doing that, especially with the 200 moving average and the 9 moving average. So all of them together are going to be a very strong place for Ethereum to rest and maybe just to bounce off towards new highs. So maybe the 2700, who knows? But I'm hopeful that we're going to stay above this 2575 range right here. This is why I chose to sell the 2475. So hopefully this made sense. I do believe that the market will react in a positive way, mainly because right now the futures for the S&P 500, so the US 500, is above 6,000. And for the S&P 500, the market is closed right now. The SPX is closed right now. It will open in a couple of hours, but so far it is below by 25 points, more or less, below the 6,000 mark. So most likely we're going to see a little bit of a green candle right here around the 2600, and that gap should be filled most likely. So what we saw was this right here, which is around right here. And then we had the whole weekend of green, which most likely will be a gap right here. Hopefully we try not to close the gap below, but to keep the gap going from, like, for example, right here where we had a gap and it was a green day. So hopefully we have the same thing right here. Just by looking at the futures, it seems that we're going to do so. But again, we have to see when the market opens, how the market react. But hopefully everything stays perfectly fine and I'm able to keep my winning streak. I think now we're 12 consecutive trades in the profit, maybe 13, I don't remember. I have to update my trading history. But other than that, just by the fact that we saw 107,000 on Bitcoin, we are most likely good for today. And hopefully you are as well with your money. So this will wrap up. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for another video. In the meantime, take care. Peace.